Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Well, hello and welcome to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and today we got a very special guest. His name is Brandon Yager, and Brandon has got a lot of tools in his toolbox, including NLP. He's got a program called the Yager Method Framework, and they help people unlock rapid lasting shifts by blending advanced NLP subconscious reprogramming and proven tools for emotional safety and habit change. There's a lot going on. Looks like you're helping a lot of people in a lot of ways. Before I trip over my tongue too much more, welcome to the show, Brandon.
Joe, thanks for having me. Looking
It's,
forward to this conversation around health. Healthy
yes,
mind, healthy body, healthy spirit. That's what it's about.
yes, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like I said, I had a little bit of a limited information. I'd like to hear about, you and how you got involved with this work you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it kind of goes back to my mentor, Pop was my grandfather. He mentored my brother and I, kind of got us on this 30-minute a day program that just got us focused on personal growth and deep personal development. And he told me years ago, I was about 13, 14 when I started this program. He said, just give me 30 minutes a day and he'll give us a reward. I got a bike as like my first thing. So like I was listening to Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, all the greats that, Les Brown. And
Yeah.
so, those guys that got me on the path. And my grandfather said something that I think was really important for me and my brother is regardless of whether we choose to go to college or not, that type of education will not be enough to be successful in life. And he was so true. It was so right. He was spot on. And so at 18, I jumped into real estate at a young age, right out of high school, I was just done with school and the traditional education system. And, I was really driven to make some money, make new relationships, build connections in my network because my dad had lost his job at 11. So I kind of saw money. It was kind of like rich dad, poor dad. I saw like my grandfather mentoring me and then dad really struggling to build his own business once he left the corporate world. And so that was a great contrast for me. And it really caused us, for myself to go inside and find these skills and these tools of sales, communication, psychology. And it's something that a lot of us struggle with. When I really look around what's going on, I think the planet is starting to really, the frequency's raising. I was just at this Ascension conference in Sedona this past weekend with a lot of guys that go to Egypt and they're going to these, esoteric land and these beautiful places, the lands where ancient wisdom is. And we're just now paying attention, like you mentioned, you're going to Japan and, Eastern medicine has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Why humanity, or at least especially Americans, are still on the pills that we're on is to me ludicrous with what's going on, right? And it really shows me the work that we do is so important because we train a lot of doctors. Mostly we're focused on health coaches, practitioners who have left this traditional medical system and they're moving into holistic, they're moving into energy medicine. Of course, we work with entrepreneurs, that people want to work on their mindset, but we love the practitioners because America's the unhealthiest country on this planet right now. Like that's a problem for me.
It's a huge problem. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you've been through some hell of a health battle over the last, 12 months.
Right.
And I consistently hear people that I've been to 3 specialists, I've been to all these doctors, nobody knows what's wrong with me, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, this is supposed to be the most powerful country, right? And we're supposed to have the most technology and the greatest, whatever, wealth, abundance. And it's kind of sad, and that's what Deborah and I were doing to change that is really level the mental and emotional tools because, most of these doctors and nurses, they're doing the best they can. I'm not here to bash on professionals. They just have not been trained through medical education, especially traditional, that the psychology of how we think about, how we believe we can heal is the most important piece. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And,
Exactly.
and we have so much mental health issues, right? PTSD, veterans, frontline workers, right? We have so many people struggling with trauma and PTSD, and I'm not here to prop trauma up on this pedestal, However, it's a bigger issue than we realize, and I think it's something that as a society, we're not paying attention to enough. That's also our emotional environment is causing us problems and symptomology in the body.
It's interesting that you brought up trauma. I've been in the middle of a series that we're calling Healthy Living Through Adversity, and I've got some inmates from Soledad Prison that were doing a number of episodes, and it's really centered around trauma and childhood trauma and the core of a lot of the problems that affect so many people today. I'm learning a lot as we're going. It's amazing.
What do you think? Like, here's what we've seen. So I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Hammer's work, but Dr. Hammer, back in the 60s, 70s, he figured this out with every emotional environment. And when it impinges on our nervous system, it can show up in different derm layers, right? Because of the brain, where it shows up in the brain, it could show up in that tissue, right? And so, as an example, his son went on vacation and was brutally shot. So it was a sudden shock to his system. Well, shortly after, he acquired testicular cancer and his wife acquired breast cancer. And they wanted to
Wow.
know, was this correlated from this shock and trauma? And it absolutely was. Well, Hammer went on and researched and interviewed probably 400 patients after that, all cancer patients. And they realized they all had a similar story of some kind of conflict before the cancer was actually diagnosed. And
Wow.
what if cancer is just conflict in the body that's unresolved?
It certainly, the thing that's wild about cancer, I've learned so much about cancer in the last, 2 years. And one of the things that I've learned the most is that they don't know much about cancer. All the things that we come so far, it's like
Yeah.
the science and the egg, 1 minute they say, and, it's this, the next minute it's that. And the truth is they just don't know. And it makes sense to me. I watch people that have gone through traumas showcase it in so many different ways. It could be psoriasis, it could be, a rash, it could be something like cancer. I am certain that it could definitely be a contributing factor. That much
Yeah.
I'm certain of.
Like another example, we had a gal years ago. So we built our business in Austin, Texas. We were doing live events all through COVID. We didn't stop doing events. We just
Nice.
we
I love
followed
it.
we followed a few rules. We broke most of them.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful we were in Texas because was a great state. We live in Utah now, but we just kept doing live events. Nobody gave a shit.
I love it.
We had a gal that came through at a very young age. Her and her sister were abused by caretakers. They were actually like kicked out of the house and they were forced to live in like a shack type property, like away from the house. And
Mhm.
this is family members, by the way. It was like an aunt uncle situation. So she was abused sexually, her and her sister, for years, 16, 17 years. She had acquired such bad eczema on her
Mhm.
skin that if you just touched her, she would bleed.
Wow.
And doctors told her she would, never be able to have a baby again because of ovarian cancer. And she had cysts and all this stuff. And she was able to heal that trauma through processes that we do. And look,
Mhm.
we just give people permission slips to heal themselves. Like
Yeah.
we're, yes, we're performance coaches. You could consider us healers or spiritual guides or whatever. But the reality is we all can heal ourselves. And I think people need to just, stop looking for permission slips and
Mhm.
just start to get to work. But yeah, once she cleared that out, unfortunately, her sister had actually committed suicide.
Oh no.
She found out, which is interesting, brainstem has to do with survival conflict. And so
Mhm.
they were very much in this survival conflict for years and years and years with their own family members. And so there's just, you hear about these stories, I'm super compassionate for anyone that has these kinds of wild stories because it's so many people are going through these or have been through this kind of, situations. And it's horrific stuff what humans can do to each other. And
Right.
I have a deep compassion to really help people heal from their past because I know that our health would instantaneously it would be 100% better if people could just go through negative emotions. See, and the negative emotions are not bad, but when they're trapped in the body and we just keep judging ourselves and judging others, we resent people here, we kick our own ass there, we beat ourselves up, self-worth, all this stuff. When you
Mhm.
just stack that on, And then you have financial stress, relationship stress, kid stress. It's no wonder why we're unhealthy, right? Like
Right.
people's diets, everybody's different, right? Everybody has different blood types. But the reality is if you're on top of eating shitty food with seed oils and all the crap toxic food that we have
Yeah.
in our system, everybody's going to respond differently, right?
Yep.
And I believe that we could be more, we could think more, and we could do more with our health. And it really starts inside.
100%. You're touching on so many things. I feel like we could probably spend hours and hours talking about a lot of different topics, and I certainly would love to have you come back to go deep into some of these. I'd like to get into some of the tools that you're working with. You are bringing up some amazing points about, the issues that we have. And I noticed that autoimmune diseases have become kind of rampant. I grew up in the 70s and nobody ever heard of that stuff. Once in a while, a case of lupus or something. But nowadays, everybody's got some autoimmune problem. And you think about what is that? That's your own body attacking itself. Why
Yep.
would it do that? And I think you're getting into all the things that you're discussing right there. You have all these stresses and all these triggers and all these issues, and some being dealt with, others not, mostly not. And then you have other factors, like you said, your diet, sleep, and all these other issues. No wonder your body doesn't know what the hell to do with itself anymore. Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters, and for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just talked to somebody that had lupus. I hadn't heard of that in a long time.
Yeah.
Lupus, autoimmune, thyroid, hypothyroid, Lyme disease. Lyme is very much autoimmune. I mean,
yeah.
all of that is correlated to, yes, eat clean. I'm not saying don't eat clean, healthy food.
Sure.
I would say that's a lower contributing factor unless you're super unhealthy, you're you're 150, 200 pounds obese, whatever. Diet is important. Like my wife and I, Deborah, I'd love to have her on, by the way.
Yeah.
We're
she might be joining you. I didn't know.
She would love to next time. We just got back from the conference. We had our own healing phase.
Nice.
So she's in the hyperbaric chamber right now.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So we have like a little clinic downstairs. We have a hyperbaric, red light therapy,
Sweet.
Juven, sauna. We have the whole thing,
Nice.
Cold plunge outside. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
She's in a healing phase right now, and she doesn't want to see me or talk to anyone.
I get it. It's wild, and I'll interject this, and I'll give the rest of it to you. I just feel like I got so much.
No, I like to go back and forth. Don't worry about
it. Yeah. We have a garden, a nonprofit called Gardens of Hope, and we offer what we call therapeutic horticulture. So we got this botanical garden, a little farm, and people come out here to heal themselves, right? And just being in nature, being in the sun, the air, and having a place to look at nature and all that. But what I've discovered is many healers and practitioners and doctors and shamans and all these people come here, and they come to heal themselves as well as to offer their services to others. And I think it's important. You guys who are doing the work to help other people need to make sure that you take care of yourself as well.
After you're spot on. You guys are in what? Paris, California?
Yeah.
Remind me, I did real estate all over California when that was my business.
Right next to Lake Elsinore, between LA and San Diego.
Oh yeah, okay. So you're San Diego. That's what I thought. That was like the Southern Cal MLS.
North of San Diego, yeah.
I know California well. I love that state.
Yeah, except for the rules.
Nature is so important. Like nature, that's the one thing growing up in California, we were in Fresno, so we were close to Yosemite. We go to the coast, I go to the mountains. I think nature is a big piece that so many of us have gotten caught up in the hustle and grind, the big cities, the Chicago, the Manhattans, the Miamis, and I love big cities, and nature helps us get back into rhythm so quickly, so effortlessly. It's a cycle and it's a rhythm. And I think we've fallen out of like a beautiful ritual of being in nature majority of the time. That's something that the ancients figured out. We went to Egypt twice last year, and just learning more
Nice.
about Egypt rituals and Maya and Lake Atlan. Um,
Hmm.
we've definitely gotten out of our natural ways of creating a healthy mind and a healthy body, especially with food, obviously natural foods. But the biggest thing, back to like the whole autoimmune thing, when the body is, when we're literally kicking our own ass, I have a twin sister, and we got held back in the second grade, and we're literally 5 minutes apart. You would think the two people that are like the closest were 40 years old. She She took it one way, very much hurt her self-worth, her confidence, her self-esteem. I put the chip on my shoulder and was like, fuck everyone. I'm going to beat everyone's ass.
I love
Right?
it.
Like that's just how that was sports. I was like, the guys I should have graduated with, I'm going to try to beat them when I get to high school. Right. It was like that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And that's just a great example of, I personally don't consider that trauma, right? I don't consider getting held back in the second grade. Yeah, probably some bullying, probably some. I remember people, calling me a, dumbass. I couldn't, get to the next grade, had to repeat it, that kind of stuff. But that didn't really bother me. And so everybody needs to understand that if it's a significant emotional event that has some kind of shock to your system and it catches you off guard to the point that you ruminate, you're constantly thinking about it, you're constantly sharing the story, right? Maybe it happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but you still tell people that story like it happened yesterday.
I attached to it. Yeah.
And if you're like that attached to it and you're looping and looping and looping, I think this is even some of the things that Dr. Eckel has found at the clinic here that we work with in Park City that has got attached to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, brain degeneration, is you're trying to forget something that's extremely traumatic.
Hmm.
And again, there's patterns that show up. And the thing that we've trained so many people over the years, we just look at, when you have 3,000 people coming through live events, you get to get intimate with people that you couldn't do on Zoom and video.
Right.
And so all I do is I see patterns, and these significant emotional events, people need to realize that impinges on the nervous system. And that
Oh yeah.
impingement really causes these symptoms to come out, that is simply just communication between your conscious mind and your subconscious, your body's intelligence, which is connected to your higher self, your super conscious God.
Right.
And people block that. People don't trust their intuition. They don't listen to their body. They're not usually in their body because they're trying to cope and numb, right? With drinking and
Right.
alcohol and all the fun crap that people do. And that's what I see is like, we are so disconnected from our bodies, and we're trusting some system that doesn't know anything about our bodies either. So
Right.
we're totally lost, which is coming back into play now. And when you look at the history of hypnosis is one of the most important tools we use. Hypnosis is just getting your unconscious mind, your non-conscious mind, to follow instructions. You can
Right.
read a book, right? We've all read a book late at night and then fallen asleep, passed out, woke up with a book on us. We're like, dang, I got some good sleep. That's self-hypnosis. And
Yeah.
people, meditation, breath work, all these things we do and practice, and take people through these different processes. But hypnosis is literally getting into rapport with your body's intelligence. And I think most people don't realize how out of rapport they are with their intelligence. And most of all the people that I've seen with cancers or major diseases or symptoms or some diagnosis, there's an emotional story behind that in their past. My father, he unfortunately passed away in 2022. That was kind of our down year of business and turmoil. We had these great years through COVID, and then 2022 came and smacked us right. And he passed away with prostate cancer. And prostate cancer is territorial conflict.
Mm.
And when I was 11, he was pushed out of his corporate job. He was we come from a background of farmers, so I'm big into farming. I was big into regenerative ag. My dad used to work for DuPont Agrochemicals.
Oh wow.
My grandfather worked for DuPont on the East Coast. I was born in Delaware, so we were right there with the DuPonters. Not when I look back at that company, grateful for them, right? Grateful my dad and my grandfather got the experience he did. Obviously not the most probably, I don't know how to say this, maybe ethical company with some of the
I
shit
was
they
going to
did.
say there's a lot of baggage hanging around with
Yeah.
those guys.
And so my dad, you know, was sold that, oh, we need pesticides, herbicides, insecticides to grow, right? And it's just, and I'm like, coming from the younger generation of like, no, we don't need to put that shit on our food. It's killing our soil. So I
Mhm.
bought a ranch in Texas in 21, 200
Nice.
acre ranch. And I wanted to farm it and do all this stuff. And my dad was like, you got to spray this, you got to do that. And so him and I,
Better living through chemistry.
yeah, we definitely butted heads. I do think that we've gotten off path when it comes to farming as well. And I love what you guys
Oh,
are
big
doing.
time.
Regenerative ag is the only way. I mean, that's the way it's always been. And when you
Mhm.
monocrop it and take all the hydrogen out of soil and just deplete the soil, and you're not swapping crops and doing buffer crops and things like that, and just blanket approach, right? Instead of variable rate farming, it's not good, And so but yeah, I know we went down like 14 tangents, but
I love
it's
it.
it's simple though. Like I think medicine is so much easier than we think. It's so much easier than we've been told. It's like nature is part of this whole thing, right?
Yeah,
Energy is part of nature. When I think of spiritual, I think of energy, and back to kind of hypnosis. Hypnosis was the original form of medicine. People don't realize this. It goes back thousands of years.
sure.
When they did, we're just learning, you know, about Da Vinci, like hypnosis was the way to remove pain from the
Hmm.
body, whether it was a treatment, whether it was dentistry, whether it was some really harsh surgery that they were just learning, they would always put people into a deep hypnotic trance. And they would find that they would recover faster, they would heal quicker, and they would be pain-free operations for the most part. I mean, mostly pain-free, like it didn't kill the person, right?
Right.
And so like we removed energy from our current medical construct, like in the 18, like late, somewhere between 1700, 1600s, right in there. It's about 350, 400 years ago. And
Mhm.
energy is coming back into medicine. And that's where we've gotten all wrong, is because we think these, we're running this only with just chemistry and pills
Right.
versus the holistic approach of actual, you know, energy medicine. And I think that's a big piece where people have gone, they've been misguided. They're off course.
Big time. Well, there's so many contributing factors. You've got pharmaceutical companies drafting curriculum for medical schools, and I don't know, maybe there's an influence there and a little conflict of interest. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a thought,
There's a, yeah. And I mean, early 1900s, that's when they infiltrated the medical system and they took over the medical education system.
Mhm.
The Rockefellers, all kinds of stuff happened then. And
Oh
that was
yeah,
like the beginning of, oh, this is not good for our humanity. Like this is not good for the way we think about ourselves and the way we communicate too with our bodies, right? It's
sure.
like our bodies, like somebody else give that power up to someone else. Like I don't believe that at all. I'm very big into muscle testing. I'm big into kinesiology
Nice.
and pendulum work. And there's nobody that you can connect with better than your subconscious mind, right? People
That's
find
a
it
good point.
crazy. I put pendulums, we got little finger clip pendulums that we sell, and it,
Yeah.
give me a signal for yes, give me a signal for yes. You can line
Yeah.
up this pendulum, and people go, "Holy crap!" Like my body is talking to myself, and I go, "Yes,
Exactly.
I've been
Yeah.
trying to tell you this."
Yeah. Yeah, muscle testing. I mean, it's amazing. I work with a lot of people, and when we're trying to find an answer, they're like, "All right, well, put your hand out," and they'll push down on it, and it'll be they'll ask me question, all of a sudden, whoop, the hand will go down. I'm like, "Whoa," it's
Did you ever have with your cancer stuff? Did you have thyroid issues,
no,
or it was all
it
just
was squamous cell carcinoma. It was virus driven. I've gone through a lot of stuff in my life. I've been through battles. I've battled the government. I've battled I mean, I've lived quite a life and put myself through. I've been an entrepreneur, started and failed a million things and started and succeeded in a few. And just I, there's so many contributing factors likely to this. I had a horrible diet for a big chunk of my life because I was active and strong and I just ate whatever. And
right?
then I got into real estate finance and got into stress and sedentary work and gained 50 pounds and I lost all that, learned, I mean, just a crazy story. I mean, I could write
I
about a
love it.
dozen books, but I just talk about it instead. We're running low on time. I'd really like to hear about the tools that you work with. We have so much to talk about. I feel like
Yeah, absolutely.
we're barely scratching the surface
So
here.
mostly, a lot of this is language. I think the
Uh-huh.
biggest thing that school doesn't teach, especially all of us, is we think we learn English, but we don't learn how to communicate. So
Hmm.
conscious language is language that causes your mind, all of your energy, all of your focus to go after what you want. And so we're constantly teaching people how to reframe, how to handle objections, because people speak so unconsciously. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah,
Like the simplest, stupidest thing is like if I were to say, don't think of a pink elephant,
exactly.
what are you
First thing
thinking
that comes
about?
in your mind. Yeah.
Right. And like we see politicians doing these word salads all
Oh,
the
gosh.
time. Right. It just drives you insane because you're
Yeah.
like, they say a lot and it
Yeah.
means nothing. And
Nothing at all.
it's called Milton model. There's meta model, what specifically, when specifically, who specifically. So most people that get in arguments because they're down in the details, they don't know how to get up to the big picture of like, what's the purpose of this? Like, what's the
Right.
purpose of this project? What's the
Yeah.
mission that we're going here with this, podcast, whatever. And so the language I find is probably the biggest thing that's preventing people from actualizing their success and their goals. Learned a lot around real estate, and I did that as well with sales. And that kind of got me interested in the psychology of why people just say no to things they know they need, but they still don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what's the one thing you need to do that once you do it, you'll start feeling better about your health, right? Whether it's eating better, whether it's getting some exercise, getting some
Sure.
sun. And so language is probably the biggest focus. That's what NLP is. Neuro linguistic
Right.
programming is reprogramming the language and the science of communication in
Mm-hmm.
the mind and the body. It's also body language. It's also internal communication. And really hypnosis goes right in line with that. It
Oh, yeah.
super integration of how to do hypnotic trance, how to put people down. We'll do these 2 to 3 hour past life regressions where people will go back into a past life that they had no clue existed.
Wow.
And, they'll have headaches and then they realize that in a past life they're shot in the head. And
Whoa.
we get the learnings on this stuff. It's wild.
Yeah.
And anybody that doesn't, I just invite anyone to do more research around past lives because we've been
Sure.
doing this, not all of us, but most of us have been doing this thousands and thousands of times. So our
Yeah.
soul, we have ancient souls and our souls have so much knowledge and it's stored subconsciously. And we have to figure ways out how to bring that knowledge to the front if we want to access it. And I believe we can all access it. We just have to get rid of the limitations and the beliefs that think we don't have those kinds of things. Like if your health isn't working for you, change your beliefs, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's a big one.
You are what you think about. I mean,
Yep.
people don't get it. Like the people that worry and stress and they're thinking about these problems and they wonder why they got all these problems. I'm like, why don't you just look at what you want? Like just go
Yeah,
there
so
just
much
for
more.
like a little bit and then magically things get better. It's crazy.
You get what you focus on, so focus on what you want. But that's the
Yeah.
programming, right, Joe? Like
Right.
so many people, it's like from parents growing up, parents were like, don't run in the house, don't get F's,
Right.
and if you don't get A's, then, you won't get, vacation or whatever, right?
Right.
We're so programmed, don't,
Mhm.
can't, won't. And that's the negative programming that is truly in us all,
Right.
whether that's generational, whether it's past life, if people believe in such things, which they're there. I don't know why you wouldn't. The Bible talks about them. And this lifetime, right? And if you have trauma in this lifetime, wouldn't it be possible to have trauma in some past life?
Sure.
I mean,
Exactly.
for me, I'm fortunate, older brother, twin sister. I don't have like this crazy traumatic experiences, but when I go back into past lives, I have.
Right.
So that's what's wild about the whole situation of learning yourself, right? And we're very esoteric, we're very spiritual in learning all these different systems from Maya to Guatemala to Hawaii to
Mhm.
Egypt to Ayurvedic and Eastern medicine. We are just here to literally know thyself. And the
Yes.
more we know thyself and we understand who we are and how we function, how we operate, we can empower ourselves, we can master ourselves, and then we go serve others. And that's why I really love, and a lot of people don't call themselves a coach. I call myself a leader,
There you
right?
go.
And if you're a leader that doesn't know how to transform people's lives, like transform a state and help them get out of this stuck state into a new, successful, abundant, wealthy mindset, then you
Right.
probably need more tools, right? And that's really what
Agreed.
we do, is just help people, teach the tools, whether you're a doctor, a nurse, a coach, whether you're somebody that's like not happy doing what you want to do. Like lots of entrepreneurs right now, they're like, God, I've been doing this business for 12, 15 years. And they go, I hate what I do and I want to
Right.
go help humanity. And I think what's cool about right now is we're all entering this spiritual phase of knowing ourselves and also helping others heal from whatever it is, physical healing, mental and emotional healing. And I think it's super exciting because the frequency and the vibration of this planet is really speeding up. And I think we're going to have some crazy, exciting changes in the next 2 to 3 years that I'm just looking forward to, because it's
The
like,
age of Aquarius, right?
absolutely.
Well, Brandon, this has been an absolutely fascinating. I believe yeah, you're a rabbit hole guy like me. We touched on probably dozen different little things and got into a bit of this and that, but
My mind is not as clear today, so I'm all over.
it's all good. I love that. It's free form. But if you could leave our listeners with a single thought, what do you think you would share with us today?
I think the biggest thing right now that I'm seeing a lot of people do is fight themselves around their authenticity and just being authentic. And authenticity is such a high vibration and high frequency of being yourself. And if you're not happy doing what you're doing, then be authentic with yourself, trust yourself and pay attention to your intuition and start to make that change, right? And I think the one thing I'd love to leave people with is stop waiting. There's so many people waiting. Like what
Oh,
the
God, the
and all
worst thing ever.
I'm gonna be like direct and very Osiris type of communication. Like, what the fuck are we waiting for?
Right.
Because the longer we wait, the sicker we get, and we can't go out there and truly help people. And right now, there's going to be a tidal wave of people that don't know how to help themselves. And we need more leaders, we need more facilitators, more coaches, more practitioners to truly help people through these rough times. And there's great opportunity there. It's not a fear thing at all. This is like an abundant opportunity. So be authentic with yourself, listen to yourself, but the most importantly, like stop waiting and take action. And that's what we're about. If you don't have those tools, check out nlpmadesimple.com. It's a quick online course that we threw together
Nice.
years ago, shot it professionally in studio. That's kind of how we started. And the biggest thing is get with a community that lifts you up, because we're big into the community of how we've got to be in our presence. We've got to be in our frequency, doing everything online. If you're one of those people that just does it online, it's very different when you get in person.
Oh, yeah.
You create transformation with human beings touching each other,
I think
hugging each other.
that's with all the progress we've made, I think we've digressed because of the lack of actual interpersonal communication where we're actually together. And that's where, the groups that we run out here, we spend time around the campfire. We spend time, talking, looking at each other, hugging each other, and just, that real life experience. It's so healing and so amazing. Well, Brandon, if I have a feeling a lot of our listeners are going to go, I gotta meet this guy. I got to talk to him. How do I get a hold of him? How do we reach you? How do we get in touch?
Yeah, check out. So our podcast is Your True Alchemy. We're big into alchemy because I think it's
I
it's how
love
you
it.
transform lead into gold, which is emotions, business, everything.
Yeah,
So Your True Alchemy is our podcast, yourtruealchemy.com. You
I'll
can
have to check that out.
find Brandon. I think it's Brandon.Yager is my Instagram handle. But yeah, we'll put a whole bunch of links there in the comments. Yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting with people.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Brandon. And again, I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface. I'd love to get together with you again.
Let's do it again with Deborah. I'd love that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, we can schedule that at any time we want. I look forward to it.
Perfect.
This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine. I want to thank all of our listeners for making this show possible, and we will see you next time. This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.